it's so hard to explain to people who, especially people who don't live in our country,
Yeah.
it's like impossible to get a realistic view of the racial environment here if you don't live here. Like I feel like
Right.
it's 100% impossible. No matter how many articles you read, you could read all these authors. Like I don't think that you can understand. You didn't even understand, even though you were living here, experiencing
Right.
racism until you got pushed up against the wall. you know,
Yeah,
so like,
exactly.
so it's a difficult problem. And I think it's one we need to be more aggressive in solving because ultimately we are the ones who create our destiny. That is still true.
Yeah.
Okay? Racism has a significant and substantial impact on our ability to control our own destinies.
Yeah.
It did for you in a good way. Like you brought yourself closer to whiteness, and because of that, you benefited.
Right.
Um, but ultimately, did it strip away your blackness? No. Did it change the toxicity of our racial environment and the anti blackness inherent in it? No.
No, not at
Did
all.
it stop your literal physical body from being harmed by racism? No. And, um, I don't want to say that I'm glad you experienced that. I'm not glad you experienced that. I'm absolutely not, like, at all. Like,
I
even
mean, I wasn't hurt that bad. I am.
still.
Because nothing else, I don't think anything else would have fallen on me that way. Even, the part of that is not, I always feel like part of that is not my story to tell. So my daughter's dad, was in the trouble that he was in, and that was his business. But those circumstances really did change me, and I don't know that anything I would have done in the trajectory of my own life would have caused me to hit that wall.
I try to be the catalyst. I try to be the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the person who pushes you or both. But like, I try to make it a soft landing, and I've
Yeah.
been I've been doing it for a long time because I just really feel like as a mathematics person, right, who has taught a lot of problem solving and problem solving techniques, there's one thing that all problem solving theorists and practitioners agree on, which is the first step in problem solving is identification of the problem. You cannot solve a problem unless you identify it first. It's not possible, literally not possible. And part of what the inculcation of a white supremacist hierarchy has done is practically shut down the potential faucet of the ability to even get people to be aware of the
Yeah.
racial environment in which they're in.
Yeah.
And under those circumstances, identification of the problem is just completely impossible. And that was clearly by design, as far as I'm concerned, and that there's a lot of evidence to suggest as well.
Yeah.
Um, and if we're going to take on this generations long problem, we need to create a generations long solution to that aspect of the problem, in my estimation. I think it is an absolute bar from eliminating race as a categorization and as a human hierarchy in our society. What do you think?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with all of that. I think it's a I struggle with like having a hope in that regard, just because I think it's so deeply locked in, and I feel like some of the things that we're experiencing are getting us further and further away. The even people arguing about the notion of race being a social construct, I think is wild. Because even before I hit the wall, I definitely knew that this is not even real. This isn't a deep like biological difference that creates these things that end up being stereotypes and fears and whatever they are. That this is a lot of stuff that's just made up. But there's a way to like protect myself from it is kind of the space I was living in. So um yeah, I think it's really difficult to um shake people away from that, and that there are a lot of things that people need to fundamentally understand in order to get out of their own way, are shared humanity, and that a lot of what we take for granted isn't true. I have spent a lot of time kind of going through data. So like the FBI statistics, and I'm I'm a marketing person. I love a spreadsheet. So when I see stuff that is suspicious, I dig into the data, and to look at why we even think that's a way to arrange people, like, and when it started. Like, those are such clues to why any of this even exists. And people don't even think about it. You pull out the FBI statistics when you're mad at a Black person, you want to tell them, whatever percentage of however many crimes, and and you shut them up. But really, what is that? What's the foundation of that? That's not good data. I wouldn't use that at my job. I've drawn an arbitrary line, and sorted the people by a thing that doesn't matter in order to arrive at a certain thing I'd like to say. And so, people, but who's going to think about that? Like, the people who are mad at other people aren't worried about the data and better analysis of it. They're, they don't have a reason to be. And so there is a substantial barrier just to getting people to see our own humanity, our shared humanity, and calling into question things that they've taken for granted.